A. In what circumstances does Paul find himself? Paul is under heavy guard in Caesarea because of repeated attempts by certain Jews to kill him. After returning to Judea, he faced violent opposition, with enemies plotting against him multiple times. Despite these threats, Paul remains firm in his faith, continuing to defend his beliefs while confined and awaiting a fair hearing. 1 and 2. Part B. What question arises regarding Paul's appeal to Caesar? The question is whether Jehovah supported Paul's decision to appeal to the Roman emperor. Specifically, there is a need to determine if Paul's actions set a pattern for Christians to follow in the defending and legally establishing of the good news in their own time, just as Paul did in the first century. 3 and 4 Part A. What was behind the Jews' request to have Paul brought to Jerusalem, and how did he escape death? The Jews' request to have Paul brought to Jerusalem was driven by a hidden plot to kill him en route from Caesarea. They presented it as a formal judicial proceeding, but their real motive was to ambush Paul and take his life. Governor Festus refused their request and instead insisted that any accusations against Paul be made in Caesarea. Because of this decision, Paul avoided yet another deadly trap. 3 and 4 Part B. How does Jehovah sustain his modern-day servants, as he did Paul? Just as Jehovah, through the Lord Jesus Christ, sustained Paul during his trials, he also supports modern-day servants who face challenges and threats. While God does not necessarily shield them from all forms of adversity, he does supply them with the wisdom, strength, and faith to endure. As 2 Corinthians 4:7 says, Christians today can rely on the power beyond what is normal from Jehovah, enabling them to keep on serving him faithfully despite obstacles. Now we continue with the analysis of the box, Roman Procurator Porcius Festus. What are the primary sources of our knowledge about Porcius Festus, and how long did he govern Judea? Our knowledge about Porcius Festus comes from first-hand accounts in the Acts of the Apostles and the writings of Flavius Josephus. Festus succeeded Felix as the procurator of Judea around 58 CE and governed for only 2 or 3 years before he died in office. How did Festus handle the issues of criminality and public disturbances in Judea during his tenure? During his time in office, Festus was confronted with significant public disturbances, including a high rate of banditry. According to Josephus, he took decisive action by apprehending most of the robbers and executing many of them, demonstrating a firm approach to restoring order and reducing disturbances in the country. What does the text reveal about Festus's approach to dealing with the Jews and, specifically, his handling of the situation involving the wall near the temple area? The text indicates that Festus aimed to balance firm governance with maintaining good relations with the Jewish population. For instance, when the Jews built a wall to prevent King Agrippa from observing events in the temple area, Festus initially ordered its removal. However, at the Jews' request, he later allowed them to bring the matter before Emperor Nero, showing his willingness to compromise on certain issues to preserve peace. Additionally, his treatment of the Apostle Paul suggests that while he was strict against criminals and insurgents, he was also willing to set aside strict justice in specific cases to maintain favorable relations with the Jews.